everyone. This is Tracy from Natural Shore, and Sarah and Maya. We've got Maya dressed up a little bit today as one of our, crew. We're here to talk about another book we read for our book club. It's called Wildflowers of the BWCA and the North Shore. It's written by Mark Sparky Stensaas and illustrated by Rick Kollath. It's a pretty short book, but I really like it. It's got some really great illustrations from Rick, and it covers different areas of, like say the boreal forest up there, but also other different ecosystems that you'd find up there, and not just in the boundary waters, but also down here in the cities as well. There's some plants you'd find down here, like the blue flag iris. I keep this book up at my grandparents' cabin, which is kind of by Hank Lee, and it's just a nice book to have up north that really kind of covers a lot of different species that you find on the northern half of Minnesota. Here's another kind of biome or area ecosystem where you find these different flowers. Exposed bedrock, it talks about the different plants you find there. One example is bristly sarsaparilla, and they usually have a drawing for each species, and then really interesting natural history of the different plants. For this bristly sarsaparilla, it's the Algonquin Indians of Quebec used an infusion of bristly sarsaparilla roots to treat heart disease. I mean, it just has a lot of different tidbits like that.
Yeah, it's got kind of like interesting natural history. This really isn't an identification guide at all. It's more just kind of giving different examples of things. There's some weedy, non-native species that are really common, and then there's other more rare species that I haven't seen, and maybe I want to go out to a bog and look for these species. There's just checklists in the back where you can check off your observations. Yeah, there's just really interesting like little tidbits and like little fun facts, and just kind of some humor sprinkled throughout too. So
yeah, and it talks about plant and insect interactions as well, plant and animal interactions. I think it talks about how a species of wasp will take the trillium seed and disperse that seed because it has a little,
like a fatty
that it takes up, and that was really interesting. It also talks about how the European starling in North America actually has been found to collect yarrow plants and other antimicrobial plants that it lines its nest with to actually repel mites and other insects that it doesn't want in its nest. So I thought that was super interesting. They haven't found the European starlings doing that in Europe, I believe, but they've noticed that here. So it's crazy how some of these different animals know how to use these plants. Apparently they smell the antimicrobial properties of these different plants and use them to line their nests. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of Native American history and herbal and medicinal uses. For one example, for wild iris, it says that the Ojibwa would take a little bit of wild iris with them when they went blueberry picking to ward off snakes. And that kind of, there's little pieces like that. I'm like, I wonder if that really worked or if that was really true.
Right.
And just kind of like fun little beefy tidbits like that.
Just to learn more about the culture of our the tribes that use these plants and we're so connected with nature, I think is really interesting. It also has a little key in the back for goldenrod species and for aster species, and historically that's been a little bit difficult for me to identify the different goldenrods and asters, so I found that very helpful. It also has a little bit of information on basic flower parts, stuff like that, and then another page where it talks about future or other things you can read about, other books that he found handy. So yeah, I thought it's a really nice book to have on hand just to flip through. The illustrations are beautiful, and you really get a sense of the writer's personality through the book, which was really appreciative of, because a lot of these other books you get can be kind of dry, kind of just, too, it doesn't feel like you're kind of there with the person that wrote it, and in this one you definitely get a sense of Mark's personality and how much he kind of is passionate and interested in these different flowering species. So I would highly recommend this book. I really liked it.
I think it'd be like a good little coffee table book for anybody to pick up and read,
Pick one up, take it to your cabin. Who
doesn't love the Boundary Waters? So
yeah.
It's kind of fun to learn more about what you can find up there.
Yeah, take it up there with you on the North Shore. I think it's a small enough book to really fit in anyone's backpack on a day trip, so...
For sure.
Yeah, so what are we going to do next month, Sarah?
Next month we've got Web Watching, a guide to webs and the spiders that make them by Larry Weber. So this one I've already taken a peek at. It's pretty cool. There's all kinds of different spiders. Who would have thought? There's so much spider diversity.
There's so many species. Yeah, we see a lot of spiders on our different maintenance visits, so it's nice to kind of read about them and learn more about how they make their webs and that stuff. So tune in next time. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.